Hey, what up? My name is OP from Serato, and today I'm gonna show you how to make a trap beat, kinda in the vibe of Migos, Young Thug, or even Travis Scott. I'm using our beat making software, Serato Studio, which is completely free for you to download right now. It comes with a ton of free samples built in, which I'm gonna use to make this beat so you can follow along. Let's check it out. When you open up Serato Studio, you'll see the welcome screen with a few options to get started. You can select make a new beat, a DJ edit, or you can choose to make a beat by genre here. Since we're making trap, let's click that. So now that we're in Serato Studio, you can see the beats per minute, or BPM, which is 140 beats, which is a common tempo for trap. You can easily change the BPM, but since 140 works, let's leave it here. Serato Studio comes with a bunch of free drum kits and samples built into the software. Since we selected the trap template, it automatically loads the Studio Trap drum kit. So I'm going to trigger the sounds here on my keyboard, either by using the numbers 1 through 8 or using the QWERTY letters on the keyboard. So let's get a drum pattern going on. The grid on the right side is called a sequencer, and it's used to create patterns from sounds loaded on the left deck. There's a really handy feature in Serato Studio called Make Drums, which gives you randomized drum patterns to get started with. First, let's increase the length of the sequence to 4 bars. This way the loop isn't too short. Now we can just press Make Trap, and a preset pattern will appear. Just keep clicking until you find something that you like. And then make little adjustments by adding and taking away notes in the sequencer. With trap music, the drums are everything, so we're going to spend a little time finessing the drums so they sound good in the mix. Let's look at the levels for the individual sounds using the left side of the mixer channel here. Firstly, you want to make sure that the kick is nice and loud. Select the kick pad to activate it. It's the driving force of your drum beat, and it'll help you figure out where to put the bass line later. If you want to beef up the sound of your kick a little bit, turn up the low EQ knob like this. It makes for a thicker sound that creates a bigger impact. The snares and claps should be dry in the mix. Let's keep them short and snappy, so I'll leave them as they are. The hi-hats are the final piece of the puzzle. They don't need to be too loud, they just need to sit nicely in the mix. The best way to do this is by using your ears. If they sound too loud, then turn them down a little bit. Nice, you just done some EQing. Now we're going to add some variety to the hi-hats using doubles and triplets in the grid, which are those super fast hi-hats that you hear a lot in trap. Choose ×2 and ×3 here, and just draw them into your liking. Now we're going to add some keys in. Let's go to Add Instruments and see what's in our library. Typically in trap, you'll hear a lot of piano sounds, sparkly top-line key melodies over chords, and big 808 bass notes underneath. So I'm going to start with the piano from the piano folder under the instruments here, and drag the Warmy Electro Piano in. So start to play around and fill out a nice rhythm. And when you're ready, either hit record and lay down a pattern in real time, or paint some notes in with your mouse. For this, I'm going to record it in now. The timing was a little off, so I can make adjustments to the timing of the sequencer here. Remember, if you make a mistake, you can always go back and fix it or change it later. Now you've got your notes down, so you can use some effects to make it your own. You can also add in effects like hard compressor, delay, and dry reverb to give the instrument some more character. Remember, with effects, there are no rules. Do what sounds good to you. To hear things clearer, it might be a good idea to solo the instrument. No trap song is complete without an 808 bass line, so let's fatten up the track by adding it in now. I'm going to use the built-in bass instruments in the library here, and select the 808 knock bass, and then play around with the bass line a little bit and record or paint it in. If you're a little stuck on making the bass line, you could try just painting in the first note in the octave, and then create a pattern from there. For overlapping notes, turn up the glide to have the notes bend into each other. This gives the effect of each note bending together. Here's a little pro tip. When working on your bass line, it makes everything sound clearer and punchier if you line up the notes with your kick drum. Since we have a nice loop going on, let's build the foundation for the track. This loop we call a scene. What we're gonna do is copy this scene and make a few variations to create our basic structure for the song, including intro, verse, chorus, and outro. Copy 3 scenes over and label them as such. When structuring your song, you want to think about the purpose of each section and what it should serve. So the intro is going to have just 1 or 2 elements. This is going to leave some more space for your hook, which will have more layers and sounds for a bigger impact. So let's take out the drums and the bass, and just leave the piano for the intro. And when the verse comes in, let's bring in the drums to provide some rhythm, but leave the bass out for now. This way, when the bass comes in for the chorus, the track will sound more full. Now that we have our basic song selection, let's put them in order. Go to the Song View tab here next to your library. Now here you can drag and drop your scenes in order. As your song plays, you'll see a visual representation here of the master as a colored waveform. Clicking the master track will show you a larger view and let you add effects to the whole song. So now that we have a full song, let's finish it up by doing some mastering. You can add effects in the master effects slot here to make everything sound a bit more polished. Try using effects like brightener EQ, master compressor, and limiter, and adjust the amounts of the levels to your liking. And now that you're finished, you can export it as an MP3 file and share it with your friends. All right, you got yourself a really dope trap beat. If you haven't gotten to yet, go download Serato Studio for free at the link below. And if you're already using Studio, check out the other tutorials to dive into making even more genres like hip hop, EDM, or even house. And if you're looking for more samples to use, we've got a bunch of sound packs available on the website for you to download via the link below. Go get busy.